Jaguar's largest luxury saloon, the XJ, offers a very different option for boardroom buyers, with unique styling and the promise of a more involving driving experience. Improvements have enhanced efficiency, connectivity and power, and as a result, this remains a very credible choice in the full luxury segment.
Much has changed at Jaguar over the last few years, and most of it began with this model, the 4th generation XJ Luxury Saloon. First introduced in 2009, but significantly updated in 2015 to create the car that we're going to look at here. The history of this classic model line dates all the way back to 1968, and over the following 4 decades, XJ designs epitomise the kind of brand Jaguar used to be. All raffish, wooden, leather, pipe-smoking, sports jacket-wearing Britishness. Of course, that meant very little to luxury car buyers in the US, Europe and beyond. Hence, at last, the need for a complete change with this very different Mark IV model. Sure enough, at launch, it was a contender that shocked the established prestige German players in the full luxury segment, styled and engineered to offer boardroom buyers something a little different, as it still does. Well, rivals stay with the conventional looks and luxury-orientated driving dynamics that used to characterise XJ motoring. Jaguar tells us that its contender has moved on, offering top executives a little more involvement from something that'll stand out in the company car park. It's equally advanced under the skin, developed with all aluminium technology, since carried forward into a whole range of new models that have revitalised this Coventry company's model lineup. Products like the F-Type sports car, the F-Pace SUV, the XE small saloon and the rejuvenated XF. Here, these stiff, sophisticated underpinnings play a crucial part in the rewarding driving dynamics that define this current XJ, and would also make this one of the lightest contenders in the class, were it not for the weight of the heavy engines plumbed in up front. By 2015, though, this Jaguar was facing much more of a challenge than it had at launch. Completely redesigned 6th generation version of the Mercedes S-Class and BMW 7 Series were setting new technological standards, and an improved 3rd generation version of Audi's A8 continued to campaign with the advantage of Quattro 4-wheel drive. Hence the need for the much improved XJ model we're going to look at here, with its latest generation V6 diesel, its classier, better finished interior, its more sophisticated infotainment connectivity and the extra traction of its all-surface progress control system. Will it all be enough though to keep this car current? Let's find out. So, revolutionary to look at, is it so to drive? Well, in many ways, yes. You don't expect a large, full luxury segment saloon to be especially rewarding at the wheel, but this one can be, thanks to its light, strong and rigid all-aluminium body architecture. That makes this model remarkably quick on its feet for a car that's well over 5 meters in length, something that you'll notice with the first bend you take. We had worried that this aspect of the XJ's character might have been sullied by this revised model's change from an old tech hydraulic to a modern electrically operated steering setup, but no, it's as good as ever. Indeed, in some ways, the new system's ability to compensate for road camber and to filter out disturbances that you'd usually sense through the wheel over poor road surfaces make the feel through the helm even better than it was before. Now combine this with class-leading standards of body control and you've not only got a car that can out-handle its German rivals, but also one that can stand comparison with, well, more dynamic models in the full luxury class, say Maserati's Quattroporte or Porsche's Panamera. Inevitably though, there is something of a price to pay for that in terms of ultimate standards of ride quality. I mean, the XJ is far from uncomfortable to travel in over the bumps. It could hardly maintain its position as one of the official cars of Britain's royal family and the UK Prime Minister if it was. Even so, if you judge by the exalted standards set by 6th generation versions of the BMW 7 Series and the Mercedes S-Class, well, the truth is that this Coventry cat comes up short. You're aware of poor and broken surfaces in a way you simply wouldn't be in those two rivals. Although that's hardly surprising, given that, unlike this Jaguar, they both boast more sophisticated air suspension systems that are embellished by electronics able to predict undulations before you meet them. There's none of that here, although the XJ suspension does have its share of technology, courtesy of adaptive dynamics adjustable damping. Now this monitors body movements 500 times a second, so as to always automatically set the car up precisely for the road you're on and the mood you're in. You'll also want to do that yourself, courtesy of the Jaguar Drive Control driving mode system, one of those that alters steering feel, throttle response and gear shift timings to suit the way that you want to drive. Simply make your choice between the two settings provided by this button below the rotary gear selector. Switching from the normal setting into dynamic will sharpen the car up nicely, and also bathe the TFT digital instrument gauges ahead of you in a potent shade of red while bringing the rev counter to the fore. Pressing the button again delivers a winter option that activates a clever all-service progress control system for extra traction at low speeds on slippery surfaces. Some compensation perhaps for the fact that Jaguar is only offering four-wheel drive versions of this car in its export markets. The other key change with this revised XJ model lies with the 3-litre V6 twin-turbo diesel engine that almost all customers in this country choose. Its move to Euro 6 status has increased output from 275 to 300 PS, while more significantly, torque has risen from 600 to 700 Newton meters. As a result of all that extra pulling power, what was already a very rapid car now feels very quick indeed. 62 miles an hour from rest, flashing by in 6.2 seconds en route to an artificially limited maximum of 155 miles an hour. As with all versions of this car, that performance is channeled through an electronically controlled 8-speed auto ZF gearbox, complete with wheel-mounted paddle shifters and a selectable, quicker shifting S option. The sheer speed and tractability may take those with longer memories back to the days when Jaguars were the cars of choice for bank job getaway drivers. But even with a boot full of bullion, the police would need some quite serious hardware to keep up with an XJ, especially if it had to be petrol powered. Now, if you're happy to pay the prodigious cost of fueling from the green pump, then the starting point is a 3-litre V6 variant that borrows its supercharged engine from the brand's F-Type sports car and makes 62 miles an hour in 5.9 seconds. Even quicker and thirstier is the supercharged 5-litre V8 power plant, offered either in 510 PS or, in the case of the more firmly sprung XJR Sports Saloon variant, 550 PS, in which form it simply hurls itself at the horizon, dispatching 62 miles an hour in just 4.6 seconds. Whatever your choice of XJ derivative though, an engaging experience is on offer if you want it. And if you don't, well, then you've only to settle back and relax as the 8-speed auto shuffles unobtrusively between its various ratios, and long trips end up feeling like much shorter ones. That's helped by Jaguar's refinement, something not especially impressive in this diesel model at lower speeds, but very, very good indeed at higher ones that see the engine in its most relaxed demeanour. At 70 miles an hour, it's only turning over at 1400 RPM. Hit the throttle though, and a deep burble suggests that this car is more than merely a luxury limousine. It is, in short, the car an XJ should be. It's easy now to forget quite what a stir this 4th generation XJ created at its introduction back in the summer of 2009. Even now, the controversial teardrop shape still dominates any discussion that touches on this model, and everyone you meet will have an opinion. Ex-Aston Martin designer Ian Callum is clear about the way the styling encapsulates his vision for a 21st century luxury car, believing that the brand should understand the values that made the original XJ great without necessarily copying them. We'd agree. Authoritative, elegant and powerful, the look of this car remains a refreshing alternative to the conventional boxiness of its premium German rivals. With the 2016 model year facelift, the aesthetics were subtly updated. Although you probably need to be either a brand enthusiast or a Jaguar salesperson to really notice the differences. There is a larger, more upright mesh front grille, while these chrome blades in the outboard air intakes aim to emphasise what the brand hopes is the car's more mature, prestigious character. Perhaps a more noticeable change lies with the addition of these energy-efficient LED headlamps that sport a unique double J daytime running light design. It's in profile, though, that you best appreciate the dramatic, sweeping shape that Callum and his Coventry colleagues have fashioned here, emphasised by the chromed outline of these side windows. Rivals aren't referenced in any shape or form, and gone is the low-slung three-box look that we once expected an XJ to deliver, replaced instead by a shape many will find is more stylish and interesting, if perhaps one that takes a little time to grow on you. What can I pick out? Oh, well, where to start? Maybe the slender roof pillars, darkened to give a sophisticated floating roof effect. At the rear, the updates continue with classier oval tailpipes and a revised bumper design featuring a gloss black valance and a slender chrome insert. These lamp clusters, originally styled to resemble the scratch marks of a cat's claws, have also been subtly revised, now incorporating what Jaguar calls light pipe LED technology, this providing a striking ribbon of light pinstripe illuminated graphic. Now, whatever you think of the exterior, it's difficult not to like this lovely cabin. Mindful of Jaguar's heritage, you enter expecting the ambiance of a gentleman's club, but what's delivered instead is Brit design cool and an undercurrent of true indulgence, epitomised by the huge slabs of veneer that decorate the doors. The fascia is dominated by what Jaguar calls the Reaver Hoop, named after the famous powerboat, an arc of wood veneer that sweeps right round from the doors, behind a dashboard wrapped in stitched leather that on plusher models like this one is of the supple, soft-grain variety. You get the brand's familiar rising circular gear selector, and fascia focal points are provided by 4 distinctively styled air vents, the central 2 flanking a classic analogue clock. The seats are beautiful too, powered and heated of course, with optional cooling and massage functions. They're now trimmed in top models like this one in quilted semi-aniline leather that you'll also find in headlining stitched around the lovely dual panel sunroof that's standard across the range. Ahead of you is a deeply dished 3-spoke leather-stitched wheel through which you view a 12.3-inch TFT LCD screen that replaces conventional instrument gauges. Now, this doesn't seem quite as revolutionary as it did when the car was first launched back in 2009, but there's still a futuristic feel to a virtual dial layout you can customize via elegance, technical, graphical or minimal display themes. The right-hand dial space delivers various informational functions, or there's our favourite feature, which is the way you can simply set the whole screen up to show an enormous 3D navigation map. It features door-to-door route planning and parking space direction when you reach your destination. Even more sophistication lies with the key update made to this XJ model's cabin, this in-control touch infotainment touchscreen that sits above the ventilation controls, dominating the centre stack. It's a huge improvement on the pre-facelifted model's clunky system, although we are a little disappointed that the designers haven't been able to incorporate this display with the big 10.2-inch screen that's an option on the smaller XF model. And also a little surprised that the whole setup doesn't function with a kind of iDrive style rotary infotainment controller that direct luxury segment rivals offer. Perhaps because of the possible confusion this might have created with the similar looking rotary gear selector that I was mentioning earlier. This means that commands you can't input via the steering wheel buttons have to be submitted via the often inexact process of voice control if you don't want to end up stabbing away at the touchscreen and covering it with fingerprints. To be fair, the system's screen and voice functionality do work well, and the in-control setup's general layout and ease of use would be difficult to better. It's your access point not only to the expected audio, climate, telephone and 3D navigation functions, but also to in-car Wi-Fi with a web browser, an optional surround view camera system and a live section that when linked into 3G will give you a flight tracker plus weather and news reports. and you can connect in associated in-control apps that will allow your smartphone to monitor your XJ remotely, activating things like the locking and the climate control prior to your arrival. Plus, a linked Pro Services package can learn your regular journeys and display your expected ETA without you having to enter a destination, while a neat arrival mode will show a 360-degree interactive view of that destination before you reach it. There's not much to criticise. Rear visibility isn't very good, thanks to a small stylised rear screen. These rather cheap-feeling wheel-mounted gear shift selectors aren't especially nice to touch, and you do get a slight lack of storage space. There's nothing in front of the gear selector, and there's nowhere to put your sunglasses. Storage areas you do get include 2 cup holders, the usual door bins, a smart chrome-lidded coin holder, a decently sized glove box activated by a lovely touch-sensitive button, and a deep centre storage box with USB, SIM, HDMI and 12-volt sockets. Time to take a seat in the back, where a very spacious cabin awaits, particularly if you specified a long wheelbase model like this one, with 125mm of extra body length. Now, quite a chunk of this has gone to benefit rear seat legroom, an extra 44mm of space, making it possible to really stretch out. Headroom isn't plentiful though, and the shallow side windows can create a slightly claustrophobic feel. That coupe-style fastback roofline has got to tell somewhere. All long wheelbase models get electric rear side window blinds, along with these lovely ceiling-mounted illuminated vanity mirrors. And most customers choosing this body style will want to pay extra for one of the optional rear seat packages. With these, there's the disadvantage of rear seating intended only for 2 people, but then to be honest, an XJ is only ever going to be really comfortable for 2, thanks to this very high central transmission tunnel. At least the 2 folk concerned will surely be very comfortable indeed. The standard rear seat package pampering them with 4-zone climate control, LED reading lights and winged headrests for seats that are electrically powered with a massaging function. You activate them using controls on the side of this fold-down centre armrest that incorporates cup holders with an oddments tray and a storage box with HDMI and USB sockets and space for an integrated remote control. Plus there are drop-in footrests, and on the left side a neat button that allows you to push the front passenger seat right forward. Here we've gone further with a premium rear seat package that also includes these rear business tables and this rear seat entertainment system with 2 fold-out 10.2-inch HD screens that can be linked into all the entertainment and media connectivity provided up front. Finally, let's take a look out back. Now activate the rather pointless power-operated boot lid and a 479-litre space is revealed. Rather disappointingly, that's fully 61 litres less than you get in the brand's supposedly smaller XF saloon. In fact, there's not much more space in here than you get in Jaguar's most compact XE model. And while we're griping, we'll complain about the lack of a 12-volt socket, the fact that you can't push forward the rear seat backs, and the issue that this underfloor temporary spare wheel costs extra unless you go for the plushest trim levels. Ultimately though, we don't think potential XJ buyers will care very much about any of that. Directly comparable German branded rival models don't offer really very much more luggage space than this, and there's enough room for 2 large suitcases to sit side by side or multiple sets of golf clubs, so fair enough. Almost all Jaguar XJs sold in this country are 3-litre diesel derivatives like this one. The 300 PS V6 engine, the one most commonly available across the lineup, and primarily priced between £60,000 and £80,000. Now, for buyers budgeting towards the upper end of that bracket, the brand also offers the option of the 3-litre V6 supercharged petrol power plant used in its F-Type sports car. But this unit incurs a premium of around £4,500 over its diesel equivalent, and of course will deliver much higher running costs. With both engines, there's the £3,000 option of upgrading from a standard wheelbase body style to the long wheelbase model on test here. Now, for the few boardroom buyers who want to go further and who remain unconcerned with issues of efficiency, Jaguar also offers its potent 5-litre V8 supercharged petrol unit. Around £92,000 gets you the standard wheelbase 550 PS XJR Sport Saloon variant, while a £100,000 budget will see the CEO stretching out in a long wheelbase autobiography model that uses the same engine in a slightly less manic 510 PS state of tune. So, how does this kind of power and pricing position the XJ from a value perspective once you start to look at its main rivals? Well, let's see. Now, as ever in the large luxury saloon segment, the three most obvious alternatives are Mercedes S-Class, BMW 7 Series and the Audi A8. And all three are more expensive in their volume diesel guises. In base diesel form, an Audi A8 would cost you around £1,500 more, although would include Quattro four-wheel drive for that. A typical XJ customer, though, would probably question the Audi's ultra-conservative looks. Also reasonably conservative, but much more modern in execution, is BMW's 6th generation 7 Series. Bear in mind, though, that for the least expensive version of one of those, you'd be looking at having to find a premium of around £6,000 over this Jaguar. As for the least expensive Mercedes S-Class, the S350D, you'd need to find more than £10,000 over the cost of this Jaguar to get yourself one of those. Now, these are premiums large enough to make even well-heeled company customers stop and think. Are there other options? Well, not many. Volkswagen has departed from this segment, and Lexus doesn't offer diesel power, although the Japanese brand's V8 petrol-powered LS460 is a comparably priced and similarly performing but more luxury-orientated alternative to the 3-litre supercharged petrol version of this XJ. If you were prepared to accept a 5-door body style, then Porsche's Panamera could be worth considering, but the diesel version of one of those costs around £7,000 more and would be significantly more expensive to run. Also pricier to buy and run is Maserati's 4-door Quattroporte, a car that in black pump fueled form is around £11,000 more than an XJ diesel, while the 3-litre V6 petrol Quattroporte is around £6,000 more than an XJ 3-litre petrol variant. Finally, we'll also mention that XJ Money would buy you Tesla's entrant in the segment, the all-electric Model S. With that car, though, you're looking at a driving range restriction that would typically be limited to around 250 miles between charges. That's the kind of thing that most top executives simply don't want to be bothered by. Now, having considered all of this, we'd understand if you concluded that an XJ really is what you want in this segment. And if that's the case, then you're going to want to know just how generous the British brand has been when it comes to standard equipment. So, let's see. All models use an 8-speed ZF automatic transmission, and they all benefit from a Jaguar Drive Control vehicle dynamic system that allows you to set steering feel, throttle response and gear shift timings to suit the way you want to drive. Now, this works through normal, winter and dynamic modes that also alter suspension settings, thanks to the standard Adaptive Dynamics package. Plus, there's a unique ASPC all-service progress control setup that gives you low-speed traction on slippery surfaces without the need for weighty four-wheel drive mechanicals. Buyers will also be pleased to find that even on the base luxury model, they don't have to pay extra for premium features like full LED headlamps, a panoramic glass roof, heated rear seats, a powered boot lid, powered steering column adjustment and a soft door closing system, all things that would cost you more on most rivals. And all XJs feature an instrument binnacle that replaces the conventional dials with a sophisticated 12.3-inch TFT LCD display. Now, features you'd expect across the range at this level include supple leather trim for the seats that are powered and heated up front, a keyless start system, 4-zone climate control, plus front and rear parking sensors with a reverse parking camera. There's also auto headlamps and wipers, an auto dimming rear view mirror and interior ambient lighting, along with cruise control with an automatic speed limiter to help you to keep your license through roadworks or urban areas. And of course, a full package of media features provided by Jaguar's much improved infotainment system, InControl Touch Pro, which uses an 8-inch touchscreen via which by voice or button you access the standard Bluetooth telephony, 3D navigation and DAB stereo systems. There's also a 10GB hard drive for your personal media. Now, where this whole setup starts to get really useful, though, is when you begin to make full use of its included connectivity package, InControl Connect Pro. Now, this links you and your XJ to the wider world and creates what the brand calls a personal command center that goes a lot further than just the usual USB, aux-in and iPod connectivity. Key InControl Connect Pro elements include an InControl Wi-Fi system that creates in your car a mobile 3G Wi-Fi hotspot to which you can connect up to 8 devices. You also get an InControl Apps package. And as part of this, a Route Planner companion app allows you to pre-plan your route on your PC or your phone and then transfer it to the car. Even better, the InControl Remote app allows you to alter the status of your XJ from your smartphone. With this, a Remote Essentials option allows you to monitor things like whether the car's locked and how much fuel it has and whether the windows have been left open. Then a second Remote Premium option provides more advanced functionality, enabling you to remotely lock or unlock the doors, remotely bring the cabin up to a preset temperature, or direct you back to the car if you've forgotten where you parked it. Also standard is a clever Pro Services package with a commute mode that learns your regular journeys and displays your expected ETA without you having to enter a destination. And also an arrival mode that shows a 360-degree interactive view of your destination when you're still 200 meters away from it, while advising you of the nearest available car parking spaces. Really, this is motoring in the 21st century. Plenty included as standard then. Still, that won't stop a significant number of buyers being tempted to find the extra £4,000 Jaguar requires to upgrade from base luxury to premium luxury trim. At this level, there's metallic paint, gloss-rich oak veneer interior trim, more widely 10-way adjustable powered seats with cooled ventilation, softer grain finishing for the leather, a heated steering wheel, and an upgraded 380-watt Meridian digital sound system. Upgrading further up the range delivers a choice of either R Sport spec with its sportier look and feel, or the more luxury-orientated Portfolio trim that includes large 20-inch wheels, an even more powerful 825-watt Meridian stereo, digital TV reception for the central infotainment screen, and 14-way adjustable quilted leather seats that at the front include a massage function to soothe you as you drive. Top of the tree is the autobiography version we're trying here, a variant only available in this long wheelbase guise. Here, likely boardroom buyers relax behind privacy glass on massaging rear seats with winged headrests. They also get rear seat back tables, a thumping 1300-watt Meridian reference digital sound system, and a surround camera system with 360-degree park distance control and a park assist setup that'll automatically steer the car into spaces. Many customers, of course, will prefer to buy in lower down the lineup and add in these kinds of things from the lengthy options list. We'd also want to specify the optional InControl Secure vehicle tracking system. In terms of bespoke aesthetics, there are plenty of extras that might catch your eye beyond the usual range of veneer, leather and contrast stitching trimming options. Things like illuminated sill tread plates, stainless steel pedal covers, aluminium gearshift paddles, and a specially designed dark leather trimmed gear selector. Outside, you can embellish the look of your XJ with polished tailpipe finishes, chromed mirror covers, and your choice from a range of 19 and 20-inch wheels. Or there's an illumination pack that's standard on this autobiography variant and includes illuminated air vents, LED rear reading lights, and stainless steel for the tread plates and the boot finisher. Now, if you're buying in at the premium luxury or portfolio trim levels and wanting a long wheelbase model, you can replicate much of the backseat opulence of this top autobiography variant by specifying a rear seat package that in uprated premium form can also include the desirable rear seat entertainment system we've been trying here with its two folding 10.2-inch HD screens. These screens can also be ordered as a separate standalone edition. On to practicalities. Now, it's annoying that you don't get the option that's available on the smaller XF saloon that would allow you to fold down the rear seat backs for longer loads. And as with some of this model's German rivals, there's the irritation that with the entry trim levels, you have to make do with a tyre repair kit rather than a proper space-saver spare wheel. You can, though, make the very best of the space that is available if you pay extra for things like luggage compartment nets, a luggage compartment liner, and a flexible luggage retainer that compartmentalises the cargo area. For the cabin, there are headrest-mounted coat hangers and iPad holders that allow you to attach tablets to the back of the front headrests. Plus, of course, your dealer can help you with the usual roof racks, luggage boxes and carriers for skis, snowboards and cycles. On to safety, where, as you'd expect, most of the main bases are covered. A little disappointingly, Jaguar hasn't bothered with offering a driver's knee bag, but twin front, side and curtain airbags are inevitably standard, along with ISOFIX rear child seat fastenings, a tyre pressure monitoring system, anti-whiplash head restraints and a pedestrian-friendly bonnet that's clever enough to rise in a collision to better protect vital organs. The usual electronic assistance for traction and stability control will hopefully make that kind of nightmare scenario less likely. Plus, as usual, there's ABS braking with emergency brake assist to aid in panic stops that are advertised to following motorists by automatically activating hazard flashers. Finally, we particularly approve of the infotainment system's standard In-Control Protect feature that connects you through to assistance in the event of a breakdown or an accident and will automatically summon help to your exact GPS location if the airbags deploy. Now, that really could be a lifesaver. In terms of more sophisticated electronic assistance, the age of this design shows in the way that it hasn't been fitted with the kind of autonomous emergency braking system you get on the cheaper XF. One of those setups that can scan the road ahead as you drive in search of potential collision hazards and, if necessary, can brake to avoid them. Surprisingly, you can't specify the XF's lane keep aid, lane departure warning or driver condition monitoring systems either, all features commonly fitted to much cheaper compact cars these days. You can, though, pay extra for auto high beam assist headlamps that automatically dip themselves at night. Another option is an ACC, adaptive cruise control system, that uses a radar to automatically keep you a safe distance from the car in front at cruising speeds, and if necessary, can slow you right to a stop and then start you off again. The ACC package also includes two useful additional elements: forward alert, which warns you if you're getting too close to the car in front, and queue assist, a feature that you can set in a traffic jam so that the car can handle irritating, very low speed stop-start motoring without driver intervention. If you want further safety sophistication on your XJ, your dealer will point you towards the package of options included within the extra cost highway pack. And with this, you get a blind spot monitor with a closing vehicle sensing system that on the move stops you from dangerously pulling out to overtake. Plus, the highway pack also includes three more elements: a reverse traffic detection feature to alert you to the presence of oncoming vehicles if you're reversing out of a space, adaptive lighting that moves your headlamp beam with the bends, and traffic sign recognition that pictures road signs as you pass and displays them for you on the dash. Given the age of this design, Jaguar hasn't bothered trying to engineer in the futuristic plug-in hybrid powertrains that buyers in this segment can specify on rival Mercedes S-Class and BMW 7 Series models, but these variants only appeal to a tiny market demographic anyway. It's more important to recognise the efforts made by the Coventry company's engineers in improving the 3-litre V6 diesel engine that almost all customers in this country tend to choose. This has now been brought up to Euro 6 status, with CO2 emissions lowered by 10 grams per kilometre, despite the extra 25 PS that this unit can now offer. So, how has Jaguar done it? Well, we won't get too technical, but we will tell you that revised piezo injectors, a higher injection pressure, more aerodynamically efficient turbochargers, and reduced mechanical friction levels have all played their part. Plus, the lower emissions reading has a great deal to do with the improved exhaust gas recirculation setup and a selective catalytic reduction system that now uses urea solution injection to convert NOx pollutants into harmless nitrogen and water. As you'd expect, there's also a stop-start system to cut the engine when you don't need it, or when you're stuck in traffic or waiting at the lights. And the adoption of an electrically powered rather than a hydraulic steering setup has supposedly reduced running costs by 3%. All of this is important because prior to this package of changes, the XJ's 3-litre diesel unit was starting to fall behind competitors in their segment in terms of the efficiency returns it could deliver. Now though, this Jaguar power plant's figures have edged back ahead of those of its key rival, Mercedes S350D. To be specific, an XJ 3-litre diesel manages 49.6 miles per gallon on the combined cycle and 149 grams per kilometre of CO2, which is only fractionally more than you'd spend to run a 1.6-litre automatic petrol Ford Focus. Quite impressive and easily enough to give you a realistic operating range of well over 500 miles from the 75-litre fuel tank. If Jaguar's engineers could have maximised the benefits of this XJ's light all-aluminium body, then they surely could have gone after the class-leading returns of BMW's 730D. Unfortunately though, the weight savings made here seem to have been negated by heavy mechanicals, so this car doesn't enjoy the advantage on the scales over its rivals that it really ought to have. Still, Jaguar has proved here that though you may need to be a captain of industry to buy an XJ, you don't necessarily need to be such a person to run one. Assuming, of course, that you're looking at the diesel version that we're trying here. If you're brave enough to consider one of the supercharged petrol variants, then of course things are quite different. The 3-litre V6 petrol derivative manages 31 miles per gallon on the combined cycle and 211 grams per kilometre of CO2. That's a better return, it's true, than a comparably performing Lexus LS460, but it's miles off the showing you get from an equivalently powerful BMW 740 Li. You'll be an even more frequent visitor to the local filling station if you opt for an XJ with a 5-litre V8 petrol engine. Both 510 and 550 PS variants of this engine manage only 25.5 miles per gallon on the combined cycle and 264 grams per kilometre of CO2. Let's assume though that you do have some concern for the planet and for your company balance sheet, and you've opted for an XJ diesel. You'll want to get somewhere near Jaguar's quoted efficiency figures on a regular basis, and that's something that'll be greatly aided by the in-control touch infotainment screen's eco data section. It offers a driving style display to help here, showing you your recent efficiency success when it comes to 3 areas: accelerator, speed and engine, and brake. There's also an extra history screen graphically showing your recent success in driving frugality and, rather cringily, awarding you a trophy for your most economical trip. And a fuel efficiency screen with a semicircular colour band, the greenness of which is determined by your driving frugality and the number of electrical features that you're using. Here you can also benefit from a series of eco tips, although personally I wouldn't, because most of them are pretty blindingly obvious, with advice like maintain a constant speed or combine multiple short trips into one longer one. What else? Well, you get the usual unremarkable 3-year warranty, though to be fair, it does cover you for up to 100,000 miles. Plus, as you'd expect, it's extendable at extra cost. Service intervals are set at 16,000 miles or every 24 months, whichever comes first, although it would be sensible to consider one of Jaguar's service plans that cover you for virtually everything in advance. There's a standard mileage service plan that covers you for 5 years and 50,000 miles, or a high mileage service plan that covers you for 5 years and 75,000 miles. Jaguar also offers an online service so that owners can remotely check their car's service history. What else? Well, insurance, of course, won't be cheap. You're looking at Group 48E for the diesel models, 49E for the supercharged 3-litre V6 petrol model, and 50E for the 5-litre petrol supercharged V8 variants. In compensation, those all-important residual values shouldn't be too bad by class standards. After 3 years and or 36,000 miles, expect it to be worth between 36 and 43% of its original value, depending on the variant you select. That's only slightly less than you get from a comparable Mercedes S-Class. There's no doubt that this XJ is an outstanding technical achievement, but then the same can be said for many of its rivals. Where this Jaguar is different though, can be summed up in that one simple but very telling word: character. Rather than being merely a larger version of an existing model, this is a stand-alone design in its own right. And as a result, it feels special in a way that German competitors struggle to match. More importantly, this car's unique selling points aren't only restricted to the way it looks. I mean, even if you don't agree with designer Ian Callum's vision of the future of luxury motoring, you'll have to admit that the cabin has a sense of style and opulence that just sets it apart from rivals, even if it can't quite match them for space. That interior benefits most from the range of updates made to the revised model we've been testing here. In overall terms, the improvements haven't significantly changed the appeal of this car, but they have removed some of the reasons why previously potential buyers might have dismissed it. Only a few issues remain, things like the lack of a few key electronic safety options and a slight restriction on boot space. The key element we like about this XJ though is as good as ever, the way it drives. It won't be your perfect partner in this segment if you're a passenger. Other rivals ride better. But behind the wheel, you appreciate the brilliant balance Jaguar has achieved between outright sportiness and cosseting luxury. If for you the sweet spot in full luxury sector motoring would lie somewhere between, say, the sportiness of a Maserati Quattroporte and the limousine-like feel of a Mercedes S-Class, well, then you'll find an XJ to be just about perfect. In summary, we think this car to be a fitting flagship for a Jaguar brand that at last has fully found itself as a maker of fast and beautiful cars. Bold and ferociously modern, this remains a luxury saloon you can bond with. A limousine for life.